welcome to my Harriet practice. Um, Today, this whole week, I've been thinking a lot about my own ancestry in a different way. Eh, in a specific way, not quite a different way. I've just been finding out such specific facts about my ancestry and being shared with them by elders in my family. Um, in a way that has felt like a lot to hold. Um, and so I just wanted to, I don't know, I think today we usually dive into my Harriet practice with a more, you know, I'll talk at the beginning and we go through some sort of whatever I'm thinking about. But instead of sharing my thoughts first, I just wanted to story tell a little bit, to just share with you who I am in a different way. And so I'm pulling up a screen so I can read a little bit for you. Um, I come from my paternal line can be traced back to the first like American English US last name we had was Blackwell. And they've done a lot of research about our family, and my family on the East Coast does like these big reunions and things like that. And this last year, my like great aunt, or I think, or my like second cousin, one of the two, just like a distant relative, posted on Facebook. They were having their 170th family reunion at the River of York, and she shared a bunch of information in this whole website that they had set up for the Blackwell family history and reunions. And it details how in 1735, a woman named Amar and her daughter Tab arrived on the slave ship Doddington at the River York and were first sold to James Blackwell. And so they came from the Gold Coast, which is now Ghana, the area. That's where they were sold from. Um, my Amar was uh, the mother, Tab, the daughter, and they were like native to the older, not Ghana, the country now, but there was an empire of Ghana before that, the older one, and Mali and the Songhay empires of West Africa. They're believed to be Saninke, their tribe. And on that ship with them, there's all this information I took in. That was the first like paragraph I read, was just that info. It's just like, whoa, names, to pause from this information, just to hear Amar and Tab and no, that's like the linking continental ancestor. To think of a mother and daughter who, I did a bunch of more research. I like got on this, I don't know. I like went back to my like grad school uh archivist brain, and I just like really dove into everything. And there's the slavevoyages.org is a database that has transatlantic slave trade data and like numbers and voyages and the details. And so they left with 188 enslaved folks. They arrived with 167. So not all of them made it past that middle passage. It took 260 days to get from the Gold Coast to the York River. Almost, that's the better part of a year, 2/3 of a year. And just taking in this information, you know, trying to connect with, okay, this is remembrance, right? To find these things out, this is something I feel like I need to honor and remember. And so today there's no real message of this. There's just the point is to honor my ancestors and to remember them, to engage in this communal act of remembrance. Tab became uh, a chambermaid and a cook and housekeeper. She apprenticed under her mother, Amar, on a plantation in Yorktown in Virginia. She was separated from her mother, Amar, Tab, and in 1753, and she was given to a son of the James Blackwell, the father, plantation owner, his son, and she moved to Lunenburg County, Virginia. She married Odolfo, who's uh, an African man of the Ashanti ethnicity of West Africa. He was bought by James Goodwin. It's the James Goodwin Blackwell, who's the son of Robert Blackwell. So, and he was the like line about Adolfo, who is the husband of Tab, is that he was a Christian gentleman, moralist, preacher, and he believed in the family altar. And that's what we know about her husband. And so we're kind of making a family altar together here uh, right now for them in this space. He died in 1757, Adolfo, and Tab continued on as a chambermaid. He died in Prince Edward County, Virginia, and Tab died in Lunenburg County, Virginia. And they had 4 children, Harry, Lucy, Will, Siller, 5 children, and Lucky, and then in parentheses, Sucky. And then the tree, there's like I don't have a picture to share with you, but there's like a big traced out like family tree of all the lineages until now from then, which was really beautiful to observe. And so this got me on this kind of journey. I don't know. I'd also, uh, if you were here, I think some 2 of you were here last week when we were on Zoom and then my phone overheated and I had to wait 30 minutes for it to turn back on, because it was like 95 degrees in the middle of the humid day. I did not factor in thinking that, but I stopped at an antique store, and of course, there's always I saw you stayed, and I'm so grateful you held that space. um, but there's an antique store, and so I went to the little racist corner that there always is, and I liberated some objects, and there's this Tanganyikan little statue that I found that was so beautiful. It's hand carved in like modern day Tanzania, but before it became that. And before 1961, when there was like a weird, like a British colonial and then another colonial rule. So it's like a pre-colonial carving. But that got me like thinking about like what is even pre-colonial? Like when did it actually start? I don't know. All of this got me to thinking of like what's the root of our pain is I think where I'm going, where I'm discovering I'm going right now. Because, I started looking up the languages of the Ashanti and the Soninke. And then when I looked up the Soninke, Amar's people, her language, the greeting was Assalamu alaikum. And I was like, whoa, it's in Arabic. And I was like, because in the 10th century, the Arabs had colonized. So what, what do I even go home to? I was, for a whole couple days, I was really sorrowful, grievous, just thinking of we've been in pain for so long, even before the Middle Passage, there was war, there was colonialism, there were peoples dominating peoples, and different forms of enslavement. Like, how long have we been hurting? And it really overtook me, I think. I think having the specificity of these names, now to spin a story around and to personify and to connect with, it took me a second to reground into my body and be able to hold space for both of us at the same time, not get swept in that. And during that kind of deep grief I was feeling that day, there was a lot of power in that kind of questioning, right? I was unclear about the answers, but I was crystal clear in what I was asking. When did this pain start? And that kind of clarity is what I ended up using to bring clarity back into the other spheres. This is a really, thank you for being here with me. This is a very abstract and winding telling of this, but I felt it feels so important for me in my personal practice to note that clarity can come anywhere in my body or experience at any time, right? Sometimes it is my anger that is the clearest, not my joy. Sometimes it's my joy, sometimes it's my, community, whatever. But I think we shy away from so much of the connectiveness of our grief and our pain and our anger because it is so hard to hold, because it can feel so overwhelming, because it can knock us off our feet, quite literally. But with, you know, appropriate tools and help and resources and community, and I think really space and time and trust, there's a lot to be learned from letting ourselves ask those questions that we think might tear us apart, we think might break our hearts forever, right? The whole story of Avalokiteshvara, uh, Kanon Chenrezig, same names, different iterations of the same deity, Buddha, Bodhisattva of compassion, is that their heart broke so deeply that they shattered into billions of pieces. And all the Buddhas in all the realms had to come put them back together again. And then they became holy. And so as we move into today's practice, I feel called by how long we have been in pain. It's another summer of violence for the earth. It's hot and we are tired. And it's only getting hotter. And I think of, I remember in 2020 sitting down with my community and begging us collectively to let our hearts break so that we could truly know what we were up against, who we are in this moment. What do we need? What do these tears mean for all of us? And seeing George Floyd's and Sonia Massey's, and seeing the tents on fire in Rafah this weekend, in just being out in the 87-degree Chicago humidity with like having to wear full anti-surveillance garb at protests and just sweating and drumming and chanting and marching with my people. I'm ignited by this question of when did this pain start? How far back? How long have I not remembered? How small has my scope been? Not to shame myself, but to shatter it, to realize how big it can be, how expansive I can look back, how I do not have to be limited by the, you know, bipartisan circus happening. I can know that this is not the question I'm dealing with. I am not dealing with what happens, you know, with the presidency. I'm trying to discover what happened when my first ancestor killed another one of my ancestors. I'm trying to find the spear tip that has been plunged deep, deep in my ancestral womb and to slowly pull it out. And I find with Mother Harriet, connecting with Amar and Tab this week, and just even with just the statues of the world, the little relics of our past, the things that we hope might help somebody remember down the line what has happened further up the line, right? Or remember that it's all just right now, right? I've been asking Mother Harriet for a lot lately, and I've been offering a lot at her feet. And I found myself in my home altar. She has like a, if you've ever seen a Japanese, there's like an old, we had like a, I got a bunch of relics from my temple when we had a rummage sale because some things they were just like, oh, these are just nice things, and we'll just let, the people who like tend to the temple take some things home first before we have a rummage sale because we needed more space in our basement. And so I got some really beautiful, very old things, and there's this one really old like butsudan. It's like a wood carved kind of box with doors that open. It's dark wood and it's got gold uh, painted on it, and that's kind of her house on my altar. And so she sits in there with the doors closed, with the kind of, for me, honoring that she has her own space. And it's not just something I can take for granted that she's there. I have to open the doors, create that connection, and begin the process of saying hello to her. The Buddhas are, everywhere in my house. And I think as they should be. They are always there for me. But Harriet Tubman is not a Buddha. Harriet Tubman is a person, is a being that was on this earth. Not to say that the Buddhas are not, but she is an ancestor that I can connect to in a human way. She is my human ancestor, and I treat her accordingly. She has her own space, and I have been coming to her doors. And the other day I came, I bow, I'm at my knees. It's kind of it's like a low table that I have things set up on in my room. And I didn't open the doors. I felt ashamed because I was so, I don't even know, ashamed or scared. I just didn't, there was a moment when I didn't know if I was worthy of asking for more. Felt like I'd been knocking at her door all week, every day, every hour, and I wondered if maybe she'd grow tired of, me spinning out about the small details instead of just dedicating myself to walking righteously on. And I was just crying there with the doors closed and my forehead, I bowed and my forehead touched the ground. I had my beads in my hand, which I kind of semi-permanently do. These might as well kind of be my fingers. And as I just breathed and cried for a moment, I heard so clearly her asking me to learn from her just saying, listen, just listen. And so I opened the doors and I did my mantra and my little hello, my offerings, and I just sat for a long time in the middle of the night, my window in my room. I can see the moonlight kind of pouring in, and I just sat with her for a long time. And you know, I wish I could have talked for this 25 minutes and ended with a actual conclusion, but there was no answer. There was no answer. I just I just sat. I just sat and I was with them. And so today, uh, we'll start with this song that was sung at Cabilio Farms last weekend. We were going to actually sing this last week, but it's even more perfect to sing it for the first time this week now that I have all this information. It's called the Ancestor Song. I'm going to put it in the chat. Oh, I didn't type it out. Okay. Thank you for the hugs. And okay, I'm going to mute myself so you don't hear me typing really fast, but I'm going to type real quick for a minute. Oh, I didn't even mute myself. So you heard all of the clickety clacky and me mumbling under my breath. But this is the ancestor song that somebody sang around the fire at Cabilio Farms to teach all of us. They had learned it at a protest, I think in DC for Palestine. And this is what my sit ended with that night. I sat with everybody for a while. A lot of things happened that you know, there's no point in even, it doesn't matter the what of what happened, but just I sat for a long time and then I ended with this song. And we'll start with this song today to ease us into our practice. And the invitation is to continue to check in with yourself, to make sure you have what you need, and to lean into even singing as an act of listening, right? Hear the call, hear yourself. What do you sound like? Are you familiar with your voice? Are you intimate with what it teaches you? That's something I have to come back to a lot. And in hearing my own voice, could that open up a door to hearing the voices that have come before me? Right? Even my voice could not be possible without all my ancestors, without everything that has come before, coming to be right now. I'll sing through the whole thing. And if you'd like to join in at any time. If you want to listen along, just listen. Whatever you do, as always, do it all the way. Even if that's switching, fluid, do it all the way. I'm gonna start with just a little drum today to ground us. I, as the drum goes, perhaps you might stretch a little in your body. I've been talking for a long time. We haven't done any real practices, so remember your own practices. Call yourself back. What do you need? How does movement and how does stillness serve you in your practice in this moment? I hear the voice of my ancestors calling me. I hear the voice of my ancestors. They say, wake up, child, wake up, listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my ancestors calling me. I hear the voice of my ancestors. They say, wake up, child, wake up, listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my ancestors calling me. I hear the voice of my ancestors. They say, wake up, child, wake up, listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my ancestors calling me. I hear the voice of my ancestors. They say, wake up, child, wake up, listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my ancestors calling me. I hear the voice of my ancestors. They say, wake up, child, wake up, listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my ancestors calling me. I hear the voice of my ancestors. They say, wake up, child, wake up, listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my ancestors calling me. I hear the voice of my ancestors. They say, wake up, child, wake up, listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my ancestors calling me. I hear the voice of my ancestors. They say, wake up, child, wake up, listen, 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 listen. Wake up, child, wake up, listen, listen. At the feet of Ma Harriet, at the feet of all my ancestors, I wake up. I vow to listen. I vow to see myself in their ancient faces, in the carvings on the mountains that make the rivers, in the wind in the trees, in the incense that dies so the smoke can be born, and in the beautiful scent that lingers in my body, the memory, the blood, the passing on of this lineage. I honor it with my remembrance. We honor it with the way we refuse to turn away, our deep looking, our deep listening, into our yearning, into ourselves, into liberation. And with this honoring, the opportunity for clarity presents itself. May it arise, and may we not need to name it, so that it may, namelessly, live, fluid, alive in our bodies. This clarity, this feeling. And so here we take a couple breaths together, just noticing how we are and what we need. Letting our awareness arise with this arising moment. We breathe in. We breathe out. Perhaps finding our hands, a connection point with our body, whether that be on the torso, the thighs, the ground. Somewhere we feel the heat of our palms, gently holding us as we are held in the palms of the earth. I welcome you into my vision, if that feels safe and comforting to you, of Ma Harriet on her rocking chair, with her simple but many folds, dress and skirt. Perhaps one of the youngest versions of ourselves. Maybe even just us as a baby laying in her lap, held. I sit here, held by Harriet in her chair, gentle rocks back and forth. I hear the rivers moving out on the land. I feel the warmth of holding, of not needing to know anything but this touch. This is my world to explore. Compassion, touch, transmission. And she sings to us her mantra. Of Om Ma Harriet Soha. Providing us always the grounding, protection, the seat to rest on. As we open up to the pain of the world, we also are fortified by the unseen world rising up to hold us. And so we begin her mantra. Om Ma Harriet Soha. 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 Harriet Soha. Harriet Soha. Harriet Soha. Harriet Soha. Harriet Soha. Like bathwater, we let these syllables wash over us, coating our body, seeping into our pores. We offer back to Ma Harriet from her lap our communal prayers. May all beings be free. May those suffering experience liberation. May we hold each other through revolution. May we abolish everything that is not love. May we rebirth a free world. Ashe. Svaha. May it be so. As we will return to the mantra for just a moment or two, I invite you, even to literally hug yourself. Feel what it is to be swaddled, to be connected. What do you need to be able to be here in that moment? To be held by yourself? To let Ma Harriet open up her arms, wrap you in her shawl, and let you be warmed by her light and care. May even our cries, our tears, our shouts of agony into the world be those of remembrance. Let it all take you back to the great emptiness from which we arose. Let the rivers of pain take you back to the oceans to which they always return. Like Zenju, may we be a mountain under the ocean, completely settled, teeming with life. And not needing any version of an outside witness to validate any of its experience. Right? We've discovered something of what, like 5% of the ocean? 10%, I think? I think it's 5. There's so much that just is. May we remember how to just be again. What that takes. As we just do 3 times of the full 4 repeating mantra. Om my Harriet, so high. 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 We dedicate this practice to the liberation of all beings. We offer the entirety of ourselves to this moment. And I thank you for joining me, as always, on this journey of remembrance.